On this week's episode, Tracy, Val, and Jake are back together again, as we kick off Reunited Feels So Good month, where we're going to be talking about movies all month long, where people are getting back together, reuniting for the first time in a long time, which is very exciting because we feel like a lot of people are doing that this summer. So the whole month of July is Reunited Feels So Good month, and we're kicking it off with First Wives Club. If you've never seen it, it came out in 1996. It was a comedy starring Diane Keaton, Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn. It's a lot more fun than we thought it would be. And really, who doesn't want to listen to two guys like Tracy and Jake talk about a movie about three women who have gone through a divorce and are getting their revenge? Val picked this one. It was more fun than we thought it was going to be. The episode is a lot of fun, and all of it starts right now on Movies That Make Us. Welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
And we are back at the Watchtower
Back
for
at
week
Watchtower.
number 2.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And we all decided to wear the same shirts and stuff for week number 2 here at the Watchtower.
We
Such
don't
a
change our
coincidence.
clothes.
Yeah, such
Probably
a
if we
coincidence.
wouldn't have said anything,
we
nobody
wanted
would have noticed.
continuity from the previous episode.
Right.
Does that mean
Yeah.
this is like the shirt I have to wear for the whole season? I
No.
would have chosen a different shirt.
Well, it's like when you die, those are your ghost clothes forever. Whatever you're wearing, those are your ghost clothes. So
Oh, dang it.
that's a nice shirt, though. New York.
I mean, it's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
Got my breakfast on it.
Yeah, I have that happen way too often, unfortunately. The other day I was trying to do a video for social media and I was recording and then I got done and I had like a chocolate smudge like right here.
Oh,
It's like,
nice.
That's
But I caught it before I posted, so it's fine.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
I think you should have still posted it. That's the real Jake.
The real Jake. There
Yeah.
you go. Well, it is July. We are talking about movies where people are getting back together in person. Well, not just necessarily in person, because before times we didn't have to say it in person. Like that was just assumed.
Coming back together in one way or another, because
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yep, yep. We're all getting back together.
Reunited and it feels
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll stop doing that too. Eventually.
Thanks for joining in with me, though.
Yeah, of course. I didn't want you out there by
I
yourself.
love that.
This movie inspired me that when one of us starts singing, we all have to jump in and sing. Even if it ends with us waltzing down the street in the rain, it'll be fun.
Well, before we get into my pick for
Yes.
that movie, I did want to pick F9, Fast and Furious 9. But
You mean
it had-
FF9?
No, Tracy, it's not FF9.
It's Fast
It's just
Furious 9.
It's just F9.
Every time you say FF9, you sound old.
And like our buddy Craig Price says, it's the most useless key on the keyboard, just like the series or the franchise.
not heard
And
him
that
say
hurt my
that.
feelings because we've done a lot of podcasts together lately, me and Craig, and I'm like, we need a break. We need a separation for the next couple of months. We just need to miss each other
Yeah.
a little bit. And he agreed.
You've got
He agreed.
like until September because he's going to be here for Fan X. So hopefully
yeah.
that's enough time.
Okay, I think that's
Couple
good.
months.
I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
should
good.
be fine. Yeah.
But F9 is it's the 20th anniversary movie. It's been 20 years since the first Fast and Furious, and they bring everyone back into this movie. And when I say everyone, I mean there are so many great people that come back in this movie. And you guys know that I love this franchise. And this is like F9 is the movie that they were like, what haven't we done? Let's do it all. Let's put everything, and they do. They even put a Fiero in space.
Yeah.
Like this is.
Which was funny because last September when we did the first Utah Remote Con, we had a panel talking about
Yeah.
Fast and Furious, and they talked about, is it going to go into space?
Yeah.
And they did actually
Yeah.
go into space.
Yeah.
So it like happened.
Now, when you go to see this movie, you're not going to go thinking, I'm here for the story. I'm here to see this nominated for
I am
Academy
going to
Award.
see a piece of art.
No, this is full-on brain candy fun. You're going for the car races. You're going to see, what they're going to do next with the car. But it also, they bring John Cena back. And so we find out the Toretto brothers, because John Cena and
Vin
Denzel
Diesel.
Washington, not Denzel
Nope.
Washington. Vin Diesel. That would be a totally
People
different
are already
movie.
struggling enough with John Cena and Vin Diesel being brothers. Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
would be
well,
a
they
bridge too
explain why they are not friends, why they don't like each other
Yeah.
in this movie, and they kind of explain why they don't necessarily look exactly alike either, which is really funny. But there's some Hobbs and Shaw references, and there is a mid-credit scene at the end of the movie that you do not want to miss.
Okay.
So go see it in the theater. This is an in the theater movie.
I like that I said, okay, like I'm going to go. I
Yeah.
haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies.
haven't either.
Probably
I
should.
saw-
But this is the thing.
saw
So
Hobbs and
Dave,
Shaw.
my fiance, saw the first one, and then he
Yeah.
saw this one. He had no problem. He laughed his butt off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, will you now watch Hobbs and Shaw with me? Because there were some people from Hobbs and Shaw in this movie.
Hobbs
So
and Shaw wasn't bad.
no, Hobbs and Shaw was great. But they upped. Hobbs and Shaw was great.
It wasn't bad. It was great, Tracy.
So in Hobbs and Shaw,
Get
and
it
I've
right.
talked about this before, like they have all these cars that connect to a helicopter because they're trying to bring the helicopter down, but the helicopter seems to be more powerful than 7 cars,
Yeah, like,
right?
I'm pretty sure that most
Right?
helicopters, you hook one car up, it's
Well,
going to have a hard time.
they outdo it in this movie with what they do with the cars, and so it's so ridiculous. It's fantastic. But because I didn't choose F9, I chose the movie that was like the closest I could find to F9, and that's the First Wives Club.
Listen, as someone who does most of the segues on this show, that one is the best we've ever done.
Slow clap. Slow clap.
Because I was going to joke about, well, so First Wives Club is very similar, and you went just straight for it.
The way she wove that story, she didn't just give you the punchline. She gave you a story before we
Yeah.
got into the punchline.
Well, that's what a good comedian does.
Yeah, no,
This is what I want to do when I grow up. I'm
Exactly.
trying to be a stand-up comedian. I practice here.
With material like that, you're set. I don't know how that works in a stand-up. That probably in a set. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know either because obviously I've done it one time.
Yeah. So you picked First Wives Club. I was
Right.
going to say suggested, but we just tell us what we're going to watch. So,
Yeah.
and I had never seen it, and I think it might have
hadn't
been
either.
because it came out in '96 when I was.
Well, it's
14.
also not really made for you guys.
Yeah, no, it totally. Like I said,
I was 21.
I
Yeah.
was 14-year-old teenage boy.
Yeah.
This was not my jam at all, and
Yeah.
it still isn't, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But we watched it.
Yeah.
For you.
Thank you. Wow. Okay, I'm excited to see where this is going. This isn't a movie I think that people would automatically say, you know what movie Val likes?
Yeah.
Val likes The First Wives Club. Because it's not a movie that I would tend to pick and even talk about on here. But I do think when we're talking about movies where people are coming back together and full circle, there is so much comedy in this film. There are so many great actresses and actors in this movie. But I also think they do such a good job at creating each individual character without the movie taking 3 hours. Without losing what the entire movie is all about. I think that it's underrated. I think people automatically say, oh, First Wives Club about a bunch of divorced women. You've got Bette Midler and Goldie Hawn and whatever. But I feel like it's actually a really smart movie. And if it would have been made now without some of the tropes that came into 90s films
Yes.
about women, because there were certain if you were going to make a movie with all women in it, starring women, there were certain things that Hollywood was like, well, you have to do this in order to get this movie made.
Yeah.
So there are some things in this movie that I don't, as a woman, I'm like, I don't know, but it fits to the time
Yeah.
because that's how women were treated, that's how they did things, and that's how Hollywood made those movies. But I do think it's really smart. So it's all about, and I love okay, so here's the cast: Goldie Hawn, Diane Keaton, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Maggie Smith, Stockard Channing, and I love Marcia Gay Harden. So that's like all of the women, and not all of them have huge parts. Like Sarah Jessica Parker, that this is the fact that she plays just like this ditzy, stupid, like nothing in 1996.
Yeah.
That's like she took a step down in this character, but she did it so well.
Yeah, she was really great.
We
in
missed
this.
one of the most famous actresses of the bunch.
Oh, Elizabeth Berkeley is in this from Saved by the Bell and what's the stripper movie?
Showgirls.
Showgirls.
Yeah, boy, Jessie, after she graduated from Bayside, she really went, like, she struggled.
She really did.
It's always the quiet ones that you have to be careful with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's in this too. But anyway,
I mean, you've got Goldie Hawn, which is fine, and Bette
Yeah.
Midler, which is fine, but you have... Oh,
yeah.
No.
But I mean, it's so great because she does play this character that, like, and now that I'm in my 40s, and I'm in them now, I'm not just 40, I'm going to be 42 this year. It's the year of everything.
Yep, life, the universe,
But,
everything. This is it. This year is the answer, Val.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm so excited because I'm going to learn all the
I'm glad
answers
that
to everything.
This wasn't the year last year, because that would have been really bad.
No, last year was actually a good year for me.
Okay,
I know
all
everybody
right.
else was like 2020 blah, but a lot of good things happened to me in
Okay,
2020.
true,
So, but for me, like Stockard Channing, she has a very small part in this movie, but she's great in everything. So
He really is, yeah.
all of these women went to college together. And when you go to college or when you're in high school and you have all of your girlfriends or your friends, I had mainly friends, not a lot of girlfriends, you're kind of in this different world. And then you hope that you're going to hold on to each other, but then life happens to most of us and we go different ways. And all of these women went totally different directions. And Stockard Channing's character is the one that ended up like really having everything. She had a husband. She, had this big, huge penthouse, all this money, all these charities, and she ends up committing suicide. And it just kind of blew these girls' lives for a loop. They hadn't seen each other since college, and it kind of brought them all back together. And I think if you have a good friend, a best friend that's really a best friend, they're going to tell you when you're not being great. And that's what I love about these women, because every chance they get, they're like telling each other exactly how it is. And they're just so real with each other, no matter if it hurts or not.
So I love Stockard Channing, and I love West Wing, where she's
Yes.
the
Oh
first
my
lady
gosh.
in that. And so when I saw that she was in it, it's like, oh, great. You don't see a lot of stuff. Like, she's not in a ton of stuff, and she's always really good, so I was really excited. And then I was very disappointed when I found out that, like, that was it. Oh. I mean, it's sad because she committed suicide, but still, it was just disappointing because she wasn't in the rest of the movie.
For me, I think the best role was Bette Midler.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Goldie Hawn play this character before. I've seen Diane Keaton play kind of a dowdy character before. Not this dowdy, but kind of dowdy. But for me, Bette Midler is usually not this frumpy mom character. So this, for me, I feel like we saw the biggest transition with her in this, and she kind of was also the character that kind of held everybody together in this, because you had, Goldie Hawn's character who plays this, big Hollywood actress who's also a producer whose husband, now ex-husband, has basically taken credit for all of her work, which actually happens in Hollywood a lot.
Yep.
And Goldie Hawn's trying to figure out how that now she's the mom actress and not the main character actress. And she's going through like an identity crisis. She's drinking a lot. She's getting a lot of like lip injections, which is a funny scene when she tries to drink water with these lip injections. Goldie Hawn is a great comedian.
She really
I
is.
would
She's
love
really
to talk
good.
about her early comedic movies, because she really is great. This, yes, she was great, and I loved it. Diane Keaton, she plays this kind of dowdy, mama's girl, like whatever you want kind of person. And her now ex-husband also went for a younger girl, doesn't give her credit for anything. He's dating their therapist.
Yeah, that scene was really...
I'm not
was
seeing
interesting.
anybody. She walks right in. You're my therapist.
Oh, so you told her.
And
Well,
as your therapist, this is a chance for a new beginning for you.
I love
when
Marcia
she
Gay
comes
Harden.
in and
Like, she's
like,
perfect
I
at
love
this.
Marcia Gay.
It's like, oh, so you told her, and he's like, I was very straightforward and honest with her. And it's like, wait a second.
Wait, you didn't say anything.
Lying the whole time. Yeah, that was. Don't date your therapist. Just
Don't do it. That's never a good idea. So all these women now have ex-husbands because their ex-husbands either left them for someone young, were being totally stupid, embezzled money, or all of the above, honestly. And so they decide, hey, this is happening to a lot of women. There's something that we should do about it. Not only are we going to screw our ex-husbands, but we are going to help other women like come out of this situation. But I love it. Like, one of my favorite scenes is when Goldie Hawn is selling half of her assets and she sells them to her friend for $1 so that her friend can then go auction them off and actually have some money because she doesn't need it. And so she walks into her big producer ex-husband's office and puts 50 cents on the table. Here's your half.
Well, and even leading up to that, as like she decided, okay, fine, if you want me to sell everything that and like having the mover guys following her
Just
around and just
walking
taking
down.
all of the
That
stuff
goes-
out of
Yes,
the
I love it.
was
This
so
desk,
good.
like they take the desk right from in front of him.
Well, and it's just proof, like visually, that she had so much to do with his business that, you know, down to picking everything out, to hiring people, picking everything out, producing a lot of the shows, all this stuff. And I think that was a good visual to show just how much she was involved and he took for granted at that point.
Yeah, it was really... So, like I said, this wasn't a movie that was ever really on my radar.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to because I do think that the three main actresses are really super talented and do such a great job in their roles. And I think there are some very funny moments. I do think that it is very dated. Like, it is.
Yes.
very
You can
90s.
tell that it's made in the 90s. But I do think it holds up if you know what you're getting into.
Yes.
I think that it was made great. Like, it didn't have that 80s, 90s kind of film feel, like, as far as, like, the film quality. But, you know, it also has some of the comedy that I love about movies from the 80s and 90s that you don't see anymore in a comedy, and that's like when they're on the window washer.
Yes.
You know, that stuff that you saw from the 60s, 70s, 80s that you don't see anymore. And so I do love some of those, like, I call them like I Love Lucy moments.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're playing into something that's totally ridiculous, but it just is fun. I don't like push down comedies where people are slipping and falling, but I think that moment was really great. I also love the moment where Diane Keaton's daughter, who they hire as their secretary, when her dad comes in and he's like, "What's going on here?" And then she walks him in and she's like, "Oh yeah, and I'm a lesbian," and shuts the door.
And that whole thing, like, that was treated very much like it was in the 90s because it was a big, shocking thing. And I think it still is for a lot of people. But even, like, when they go to the bar and things like that, it is very over-the-top 90s. Like, it was, we want to include this in our movies, but we're not really sure how to do it in the right way yet. And so it was...
It reminded me of when we did Clifford, when she's walking down the street and the two men dressed as women come up to her and I could spot a fake a mile away, you know. It was that kind of
But
feel.
I did love how when they brought these things in the movie, they didn't make a big deal about it. It was, you know, because this came out in 1996. It was a year before I graduated high school, and that was something that me and my girlfriends did all the time. Is we would go dancing at gay bars because that's where we felt safe.
Yeah,
you know, and they played better music, and the guys were better dancers. You know, and we knew we weren't going to get hit on. And so for me, I was like, I mean, we totally do this all the time. And then, you know, to everyone else, her daughter being gay was not, nobody cared. You know, but when she said it to her dad, she was really just trying to stick one in because everyone knew but him. And so for me, I kind of loved that for this movie that came out in 1996 because moms didn't care. Nobody else cared, but she would just, like, her dad was a jerk. So she just wanted one more thing that he didn't know about, you know. But yeah, there are a lot of things that you can tell, okay, this was made during a certain time period. But I do think relationships with women are often not shown in movies unless there's a huge conflict. This one does have that huge conflict, but these women are really real with each other. They call each other out. Like, I could relate it to Bridesmaids a little bit, which isn't my favorite movie, but there are still some moments in there. But I think that they make fun of the female relationship in that movie and Bridesmaids more than they do hone it in as it's something that should be important to us. Where I think in this movie, it shows just how good they are with each other. And just how they bring, like, the best out of each other. Like, yeah, you can all get married and have a partner, but you shouldn't let go of your friends. You should have a life outside of your partner. And I think that's a really good message to give anybody, but especially, like, women at the time. Like, that's what I thought. You got married, you had kids, and then that was your life, you know? And so seeing something like this is kind of cool back then.
Yeah, and even when they show as they progress and grow as characters, and you get to the end of the movie, and you know, only one of them ends up back with her husband, But like Goldie Hawn's character, she goes on and does the theater and starts kind of embracing
pushes herself
where she's, where she's at in her career. And then Diane Keaton's character, Annie, when she says, and he came back and said he wanted me back, and I told him to drop dead. And it was good to see that they were able to resolve and move forward without the man in the picture, which doesn't happen a lot in stories where it's like, she was able to move forward because she met a new guy who was better than the old guy, and or they get back together, and that didn't happen in this movie. So, and I like that. So
and I do think for some reason, like if you look back at the 90s, there was this huge trend of like older guys dating like 20-year-old, and I know it still happens now, but I don't like. Right now I see a lot of like going both ways, like younger men, older women, whatever. But I think back that it was just like, it was something guys thought that they had to do. You hit 40, 45 and you've got to get a fast car and you've got to get a 20-year-old, and I feel like it was something at the time that was happening a lot, but nobody was really talking about it in real life.
Agree.
Because back then we didn't talk about our feelings. We didn't talk about all the bad things that were going on. We just kind of pretended like it wasn't happening.
Totally fine.
And it was great to see like these actresses who their lives usually look really, really great, and even like, Goldie Hawn's character, who is this big actress who makes all this money, who's beautiful without the lips. If somebody's going to cheat on her, somebody could cheat on anyone. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know who I was talking to. I was talking to one of my best friends about, like how could somebody cheat on Halle Berry, or how could somebody cheat on, and I'm like, for everyone that likes one person, there's always a guy that or a girl that likes someone else, like it doesn't matter who you are. But in this movie, it shows like that everyone has something different they need to work on. All of the wives, and it's not a man-bashing movie by any...
No,
but they all figure out, yes, their husbands have issues to work on, but they also had issues they need to work on. Like Bette Midler's character, she kind of just let herself go. She kind of just said, you know what, I'm just going to get in this comfortable phase. I'm not really working on myself, my marriage, anything. And she was just angry all the time. Nobody wants to be at home with that either, and Diane Keaton's character needed her voice. She was just like a yes woman all the time. So like they all had something they needed to work on, both individually and with their partners.
Yeah, I agree.
And by the end of the movie, when they all meet up, at the big party, they're kind of all in a good place. But I do love that they had the guy's car towed.
Yeah. Well, I love at the end where he sees her outside the grand opening that they had done and the big gala that they were throwing. He says, I used to have a Lamborghini like this because it was his. It was awesome.
That he bought for $1.
There were some really great moments like that throughout the film. Like I love when Dan Keaton's ex-husband comes to work on the last day.
Yeah.
And he asks his daughter, okay, how's it looking today, or what? She's like, it's going to be hell today, Daddy. And like, because she knows what's going on. And in that moment when he walks in and there's Diane Keaton with his two partners and she's bought the company out, basically, it was really awesome. But there are some really good one-liners like that throughout the movie, and I think it was fun.
Yeah, Diane Keaton's not my favorite actress, and I don't
she's
know.
one of mine.
This one that I don't know. I love Goldie Hawn. I love Bette Midler, but I don't know. Diane Keaton just seemed a little out of place with those two.
I really liked it because, again, yes, I've kind of seen her play a dowdy character before, but she's usually a dowdy heroine. But in this one, she really is super dowdy. And that relationship between her and her mom, when her mom's like, well, what did you do wrong? Why can't you fix this? Like, you need to do whatever you can do to get him back. Like, it's all her fault. And that is a lot of moms, like, from that era. You know what I mean? Or just get out, just leave him. And so Diane Keaton's character was either always trying to please her mother or please her husband, even please her therapist. Like, she apologized to her therapist, the person that's sleeping with her husband.
Well, and even when her daughter's like, Mom, you haven't, like, since you've been hanging out with him, you haven't even apologized once. She said, I know, I'm sorry.
But like, I love it because she's not a heroine in this movie at all. Yeah. And she's just this dowdy person. But I love Diane Keaton because she reminds me of my mom. Not in this movie, but she just reminds me of my mom in general. But for me, like, I really love her in this movie, and then the one with Jack Nicholson. I can't think of it. No,
No.
that's Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
As good as it gets, though, is a fantastic
Yes,
movie. And
that is a really good
Yeah.
movie. But no, so yeah, I think I don't think this is, again, it wasn't nominated for anything, and it didn't need to be nominated. Well, it could have been nominated for actress. I don't know. But
You mentioned it being a 90s movie and how it only fits in that decade. And I agree because, like, when I heard the concept of the movie, I pictured when you talk about a First Wives Club that it was just like them getting together and not like buying a physical building and like building an actual club and like having business cards and like the lengths that they go to in it. I'm like, okay, they are going all out for this.
Yeah.
And that only works in this time period. I think it would be hard to make a movie like that today that would be taken as seriously as this
don't
movie
know.
takes
Isn't
itself.
it a comedic series now on one of the
if it is, I haven't
on
watched it.
BET or something? I think they're all.
Yeah.
Oh, if it is, I haven't watched it. But I do think this could be remade, not called this, but the same kind of thing. And I do love that because most people, I'm not going to say most women, but most people, is we all think this bad thing's happening to me, but I know it's happening to other people too. And then you just move on with your day and you go eat another piece of pizza, right? But these women actually
Just one. Yeah.
said, or a whole pizza. These women actually did something about it, and I do think there is that 1% of people that do think something about it. You know, yes, it's totally kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, they make this foundation, name it after their friend that felt like she was stuck, committed suicide, and I don't know. I just think it's not a thinker.
No,
you
it's
just
not.
sit down, you watch it, and then you move on with your day. But I do think there is a lot to be said about the comedy in this movie, what the whole story is, and if they were to redo it now, and please don't put Tiffany Haddish in it and like everybody that you keep putting in a comedy. I like Tiffany Haddish. I just feel like they keep putting her in the same role over and over. Let her do something new. But I do think there would be a place for it now, and I think it would probably actually be better because they wouldn't have to fall back on some of these old stereotypes of women. But again, a lot of those things that happened in the movie happened to a lot of women, you know, so...
Well, you mentioned Jesse from Saved by the Bell, Elizabeth
Yes.
Berkley. I was super excited to see Balky from Perfect Strangers
Right?
show up as the interior designer.
Right? Oh, he was...
I did not know he was in this. I'm like, oh my gosh.
so fun.
Yeah,
like
he was really
so
good.
that, and again, that whole choreography of that old time comedy, like
Yes.
look over here because something's happening over here. I love that when it's done right, and I really do think it was done right in this movie.
Yep.
We don't see a lot of that now, and I really kind of miss that. Look over here. There's something going on over here.
That scene in the apartment as the thing's going down, and he's like, you know, oh no, we're not going to look at the window. We're done. The window's done. Let's move over here to the stairs now. And he played it really well. And then when he and Maggie Smith are ganging up on her at the auction, telling her to buy the stuff, and I just enjoyed that.
Maggie Smith. Oh,
man.
she's just in it for like 7 whole minutes of the whole movie, but it's the
glorious
best
7 minutes.
Well, the lunch with her and Sarah Jessica Parker, and you know, she's like, I told him we got to get classy and we got to be with classy people, and she's like chewing and talking at the same time. And
Maggie Smith's like,
And this was a weird, because when I think of Maggie Smith now, I think of her in like the Professor McGonagall role or Downton Abbey and things like that, because that's kind of where she gets cast at this point. And this was a little bit earlier in her career, so she was still kind of that rebellious older woman kind of role. And I really enjoyed watching her in this because it was very different. I had to nudge her off. I'm like, there's Professor McGonagall. Because it's not as easily apparent, you know?
yeah,
But she's great. Really good performances all around.
yeah.
And Bette Midler actually moves her arms.
Now I'm like thinking,
That's a deep cut right there.
That is a deep cut.
I mean, yeah, she does.
She is one that I don't think gets as much recognition as she should. I recently watched the series The Politician on Netflix.
Yeah.
She's amazing
She's
in
a great
that in that
actress.
film. It's just so she's underappreciated in a lot of things for me.
Yeah, I definitely love when in this movie she pulls her husband. Her husband's like in the basement. They pull him into the basement, all that. Like she, again, her character I think has the biggest changes, but also is the most realistic to anyone else. Like most likely, if you have a kid with someone you've been married for that long, and they do something like this, you love this person,
right?
And yeah, you kind of want to, maybe get back at them a little bit, but you're probably going to try and work it out, you know, and. It's not always as dramatic as the Goldie Hawn situation, right? That's not. And so I really love how this one, he made some bad choices, a few bad choices, but she's also not a jerk to her son about the situation, which I really like to see that. Again, I think people automatically see this movie title and who's in there like, this is just going to be a male bashing movie and a bunch of women and, whatever. But no, I really like how she tries to keep it.
Well, it's interesting, too, because, sorry, real quick, it kind of took on that persona when it came out. I remember that was kind of the buzz about the movie, and so I was kind of expecting that, and then it wasn't.
Yeah. And I do, speaking of her relationship with her son, I do think that oftentimes in these movies, like, the divorced kid is either, like, super depressed or, like, angry at the world and, like, doesn't have a good relationship with either of his parents or her parents. And that's not the way it works for a lot of divorces.
Yeah.
It does work that way for some, and that's really sad. But like I grew up with my parents divorced, and I felt like I had a pretty good relationship because my parents made the effort for me to have that relationship. And she does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't keep him from his dad.
Yeah.
She lets him go to the basketball games with him. She doesn't talk overly negative about his dad. I mean, there are things that frustrate her, but she doesn't.
It's just
like
human
even when
stuff.
he says, now that dad's engaged to Shelley, and she had no idea that had happened.
Like,
and she, composed herself real. I mean, it was like, oh, yeah, well, that would be hard to take.
Watching it now to watching it then, like, I'm watching her, and I'm like, I've had these moments, like, with my kid in that situation where my daughter would bring something, when, my daughter would bring something up, and I would just be like, okay, and then you go cry in your closet later with, whatever. But like, I feel like her character was the most relatable, but I also feel like her as an actress had to push more than we've seen her. And I'm not saying that Goldie Hawn comedy is hard, and Goldie Hawn does it well, like almost so well that it just seems like
it's effortless,
right? But I do think Bette Midler doesn't always get the credit that she deserves, and I do think her character it's not the most glamorous character. It seems like the most regular character, but sometimes that's the hardest to play because we relate to it more because we've seen it more, and because it's not as sexy and spicy as everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's real life.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I prefer sexy and spicy myself. Well,
Obviously. I mean, look at your shirt, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I'm downplayed with your guys' shirts. I feel like I need to up my game next time.
Well, I've been waiting a year to
to wear the shirt. You're like, did you put? Was it like the first day of school? You were like putting your outfit out last night.
We were gonna take a picture of me, and I was gonna be like, first grade,
first day podcasting.
Yeah. Get all my equipment.
Oh my gosh, you have to do that, please do it.
Oh, will you make him do that?
She's
She's
laughing, but it's that kind of laugh that makes me think she is going to.
We need a Movies That Make Us calendar so that we can have a picture of you with that, pictures of us at Fan X, and we could give it to charity.
I like this plan.
Well, yeah, I don't know that we'd sell it, so we should probably just give it to charity.
No, the money to charity, not the calendars.
Okay,
and I know 3 people that would buy them.
Okay.
Well, Sammy, Dave.
Sammy's not buying anything.
She's getting it for Christmas.
You will like this.
You better hang that up.
No, I'm talking. I think we have 3 listeners that would buy them.
I think my mom would probably buy one.
Because your mom's rad.
Yeah, she is.
Well, if we can get one of Val saying that she's a
Huckleberry.
I'll dress up like Val Kilmer.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, that would be fantastic.
A podcast charity calendar.
I like this.
I'm for it. We just got to get the pictures.
Sweet. I know a photographer.
We should expand it and do you want to do like a Stolen Droids family calendar?
No. They can get their own damn calendar.
They can do their own thing. And I say that as the president, so they can do their own thing.
He just shut that down.
But I do think that we need to have one picture where like Craig Price is just off in the background, all by himself. Like we're up here having a good time, and he's just like sitting in a chair way back here. Because I feel like he is kind of our show this year a little bit. Like we have just inundated him. I mean, how does he even like us still?
I don't know. And I'm going back on the show on Tuesday for Cast Off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
I've got Cast Off with my brother on Tuesday, so.
Yeah.
Do you think he has nightmares about us?
I'm sure he does. At this point, he's got to.
Yeah.
We'll
just like spinning in his head.
One of those moments at Fan X where we'll see him, we'll be like, Craig.
And he just runs the other direction.
Turns around and walks away.
I don't know these guys.
I don't know who that is. That's awesome.
Okay, we're going to put this calendar together. You got to take that picture.
I will say, speaking of Bette Midler, there was the point where they're talking about, we've become what everybody thought we were, the three witches. And I was like,
yeah, hocus pocus.
Hocus pocus. Like,
yeah, because you've got two of them in the movie.
Yeah.
You've got Sarah Jessica Parker and her in this movie.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's hocus pocus all over again. Typecasting. So this is so totally different. It's not the same at all.
Would you say it's more like F9 or more like Hocus Pocus? On a scale of F9 to Hocus Pocus, where does this movie fit?
That is a weird scale to start like ranking movies. It's halfway.
Our grading system. This is our new.
We're not going to do grades anymore. We're going to rate it on a system of Hocus Pocus to F9.
Or even
this movie rate?
Even this. We've got F9 to Rubber with Hocus Pocus being like right here.
And I think the hard thing is, like, we get it, but I think if somebody else comes on the show, we're like, we need you to rate this movie on a scale of Rubber to F9. Hocus Pocus is in the middle. They'd be like, so which side is good and which side is bad? Like,
it's all I'm so confused right now.
Yeah, it's a
Mobius strip. It loops back upon itself, and then it's all awesome.
Everything, it's timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. It's fine.
Jeremy Bearimy. Yeah.
On a scale of Hocus Pocus to F9, I don't know where to put it. I like this movie, so where do I put that? It's up to you. We were recording the other day, and Stolen Droids, and we were rating something, and we said on a scale of 1 to 10, we asked Colin on a scale of 1 to 10, and he said, so is 10 good then? I said, yes, like every other 1 to 10 scale that's ever been done. Yes, 10 is good.
I mean, I get it, like, because if you have the number one movie.
Yes. If you're, like, counting down a top 10 list.
Yes, the number 10. So, like,
but, like
I get it, but.
Says on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah,
scale of 1 to 10
Sorry,
is
I was trying to have your back, but.
Yeah.
Kind of hard.
That was kind of silly, Colin.
Yeah.
Don't fire us. You're getting what you pay for with me.
We're a package deal. He fires one of us, he fires all of us, and we just rename the show. It'll be fine. We'll move forward.
And the Salt Lake Cinema Club was born.
Ew.
I don't think we can call it the Salt Lake Cinema Club. That
I feel,
infers way too much seriousness.
I feel like we would have to know more than we actually do. I feel like I'd have to do homework. I'd have to actually watch the movies we talk about.
We'd have to pick like movies that like people hadn't seen and not like popular movies.
We do pick movies people haven't seen.
When
Clifford.
you pick them.
Well, yeah.
It's usually when you choose them.
I don't think there's any cinema.
It's usually your pick.
Except
for Rubber, I'm pretty sure it's all you.
That's a good point.
Hey guys, we should watch this movie.
Except for, I have to tell you, I have more people comment to me in person about our Rubber episode and the fact that they love that movie and they were so happy that we talked about it. I've had at least 3 whole people.
Nice.
But during a pandemic, like 3 whole people.
Yeah. I'm really glad, because that would have always been on my radar.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were like,
I didn't even know about it.
I'm like, all right. I just remember hearing about a killer Ascension tire, and then you gave me a reason to see it. And that was a fun episode. That
By the way, we're
nerdy.
Sitting here at Watchtower, and this is their Tongan caramel or caramel.
That
caramel,
stuff
caramel.
Is nectar from the gods.
I don't care how you say it.
Where's the spork so I can just eat this from the jar?
You should probably go find one. So, well, we've gone off the rails again.
I mean,
it wasn't that bad.
If we ever had to change our show, Off the Rails.
There we go. Off the Rails movie podcast. So, already got the name calling, so just so you know.
He's
I'm,
like, yeah, but
I'm
you
getting
said
it
it on my
copyrighted
show.
right. I'm registering it right now.
It's like when Tim Burton came up with the idea of The Nightmare Before Christmas, and then he left Disney, and Disney's like, nope, you created that on our time.
Yeah.
We own that.
Well, then he got him back by saying, well, I'm not going to direct it then because I'm too busy with Batman Returns. And then he basically did direct it through the guy that they said directed it, but it's fine.
It's a whole different
I think
episode.
Carrie Selznick.
Tim and I have had a lot of conversations about it.
Oh,
There's my guy.
There you go.
There's
You
my
cast.
guy.
There's your director. All right. Tim and I.
We've talked a lot about it. A lot of conversations. So
Why did we not immediately go to Burton when
I don't know.
we trying to? Think
Yeah,
of a
I mean, we
director for
should have
him,
known.
right?
yeah, he's my favorite for sure.
That's the thing is, like, I feel like we started out with Steven, but I feel like I've changed a lot
Really?
since then. And I
Yeah.
don't know that Steven and I still have the same relationship that we once had. I respect Steven, but I don't know that
So do
Steven-
you have a
Steven...
director on the side that you've kind of been talking to?
Yeah.
All right. You've upgraded for a younger man. You hit your 40s and thought, that's it. Trading up.
I am. I'm getting married to a younger
Yeah,
guy,
there you go.
so...
Stephen was like cheating on her, and she decided to be. Yeah.
It's true.
I'm interested to see his West Side Story. That one is.
Yeah, I definitely think we should talk about that
Him
when it
doing a
comes out.
musical, I'm very interested.
Well,
in.
there's-
If there's no finger snapping, I'm out.
It's got to be finger
This is the
snapping.
thing, though, is there's a little bit of controversy happening with that movie, especially with the controversy that happened with In the Heights.
Oh, the
and
casting.
which I don't. This is a hard thing for me to get into, but we should definitely have a conversation about it when it comes out. If you haven't seen In the Heights, I did enjoy it. I did think it was a little too long. I think I said this before. It's kind of like the Die Hard of musicals. It's a lot of musical and a lot of different weird dance sequences, but it's really fun. But I do think that there was an amazing amount of representation in this movie, and I don't know that any apologies needed to be made. So it's a movie made about a very specific area where he grew up in, about a very specific people. And in the movie, I saw all different sorts of people, but it's also very specifically about this heritage of people. And so I think he did a great job, but again, I don't really get to have a say because it's not my heritage.
It's one of those where I feel like it's hard for me to have a point in the conversation just because I feel like it's not my conversation. I can't tell somebody when they watch it that they feel that they shouldn't feel underrepresented.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if they don't feel represented, then
That's
I just loved seeing a
to agree
movie.
with that. Like,
I just
can't-
loved seeing a movie about a different culture that I didn't really know a lot about, and I felt like by the end of the musical, I did know a little bit more, and I was intrigued.
Yeah.
So
I speak Spanish now after watching it, so I know.
that would be weird
That would be.
because that's
well, you already speak German, so.
Well, I decided to go with a.
But no, but I'm
more,
saying
like-
they're kind of in the same European family, so I can see you speaking Spanish now.
But Spanish is Latin and German is Germanic, and it's very different. But
Well, that came from Spain
Also-
before it. Yeah.
also, one is a little bit more
angry
inclusive.
than the other.
Yeah,
Guttural.
I think
You really
you
get
spit
that
more
throat.
with one than the other.
spit that much with German. It's fine. It's fine. That's. I used when I first got back from Germany, I would always get really upset when people would like overemphasize things in German, and it's a losing battle, and it's not worth fighting anymore. So I just go with it.
Yeah, you do. Here, let me say something in German to you. But yeah, we should talk about West Side Story when it comes out.
be down
Like,
for that.
exactly, like, yeah. I thought I would be a little upset when, they weren't getting down to business in Mulan. But surprisingly, I was okay with it. But if he takes that, there's some very iconic scenes. I do not want him to remake the entire movie scene to scene of the. Well, then why would you need a remake, right? So I do want to see. I want to see something way better than Ready Player One, please, Stephen. Come on. I think maybe that's why our relationship has changed.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like,
that
again,
would
I
be-
still respect him.
That's
I'm
a
really
sour
happy
note.
with everything that's going on. He just signed a big deal with Netflix with
Yep.
his production company.
But it's interesting too. He's doing a movie about like autobiographical.
Yeah.
It's a fictional retelling of his life, which
Yeah.
That's
So
an odd
again,
one.
I mean,
I
only
like
Steven
him, but
can pull something like that
Right.
off, really. Like,
Right.
I'm going to make an autobiographical fictional story about my life, and everybody's like, that sounds wonderful.
well, Elton John did it, and it was a fantastic. So
Who did?
Elton John.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But
I
if
think there
did
will
it,
be less singing and less glitter in Steven
Definitely
Spielberg's.
less glitter. Yeah.
I would say definitely less singing, too. I don't know why you're, like, doubting that there's going to be less singing. What in Steven Spielberg's past makes you think it's going to be more musical?
West Side Story.
That's one, and it
That's
hasn't even
one,
happened
and it's
yet.
in his future more than his past. Well, definitely less glitter, but I think there may be some singing.
I just want him to come out and admit that he didn't want to make Ready Player One, and that he didn't put 100% into it. That's what I want him to say. He called it in. I just want him to admit that he called in the movie, and I'll be fine.
Yeah. I think we all want that kind of admission from him.
Yep.
And Rush fans are still waiting for an apology for his just, like, deep-rooted hatred for Rush.
Thank you, sir.
Even I was expecting to hear Rush. I was expecting to see all these, and I get, like, not being able to do the Star Wars stuff, but hello, like, one of your best friends, can't he help you out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
George, this is Steven, can't we?
And maybe there's a contract. Like, I get it. Like, Disney and Lucasfilms has things all pretty well wrapped up about, how they get to be portrayed in things. But I mean, when you know you're gonna make this movie, how do you do it without some of the biggest things in the book?
Yeah, they've got all of their characters really wrapped up, except of course the Incredible Hulk. For whatever reason, they can't get that one fixed and make a movie because of Universal.
Yeah, Universal's over there just laughing their heads out about one thing they've done right.
Yeah. that and the theme park rights. Like, I think they are loving that.
Yeah, but that's a whole different I mean, it is them, but it's a different entity as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hey, Universal's still out there, and they're on their own. They're not owned by Warner Brothers or Disney.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
hang it on. We'll see how long they can
Now,
last.
Warner Brothers is part of a huge conglomerate now of HBO Max and Discovery
And that's going to be changing
I'm
pretty soon.
I'm just wondering if they're going to fix the DC movies now that they're all part
What
of
do you mean
this.
fix them?
Stop it.
Just burn them.
I was going to say.
What do you mean fix them? Like, what can you do to go back and fix them? Just start making better movies.
There's a couple we're saving.
Just start making better. There are so
The
many
original
stories.
Wonder Woman was
There
great.
are so many stories to tell. Just forget about Wonder Woman 2. Move on and make
Aquaman.
another good movie. Aquaman's fine.
Aquaman 2 is in production.
Yeah.
Aquaman's fine. Like, it's fine.
Mike is right there.
Yeah, I know. Aquaman's fine.
There's nothing.
There's nothing wrong with Aquaman.
He is great.
Like Wonder Woman,
this is
Wonder
great.
Woman and Aquaman were fine. The rest of
They were
it's
great.
crap. But you don't need to remake it. Just make better movies.
It's true.
Shazam was good too.
Shazam was fine as well.
Yeah.
Helen Mirren.
I
is
don't
gonna
even
be,
think of Shazam for some reason. I don't even
Because he
put
wasn't
it
in Justice League. He's
Yeah.
not
Yeah, like I
part of
don't
the-
put it
yeah.
in the same crap hole that the rest of them
But
are.
Helen Mirren is going to play a villain in the sequel.
I
I'm all
love
down
Helen
for
Mirren
it.
so much. She was in F9
Ooh,
because she's in Hobbs and Shaw.
that's right.
She's the mom.
That's right.
Was Dwayne in it?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
There's
If Dwayne was in
There's
it, I could
reasons.
see it.
Just watch the movie.
All right, I'll watch it. Why do I keep saying I'm going to watch this movie that I probably am not
Do
gonna...
it.
All
Do
right.
it.
Peer pressure.
I know, I'm feeling it.
I think you all should have watched it with me because you probably would have had a better time.
Just like we need to watch Sharknado with Tracy.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I don't think I'm going to enjoy it if I just watch it by
Yeah,
myself.
I know I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm going to change the channel if I watch it by myself because
Just
that's
like
what
I'm
I do
sure-
every time.
Just like I'm sure there's not going to be any singing in the Steven Spielberg movie. Like, I don't...
I think there will be singing. He hired people that can sing.
There's going to be singing.
Why would you hire specifically people that weren't very well-known actors that can sing?
That's a valid point.
In his
Why are?
biographical movie?
Oh, I thought you meant West Side Story.
I'm sure there's going to be singing in West Side Story.
I knew.
Okay,
he was
we've talked
talking
about a lot of things here today.
This was great because you two were crossing wires and I knew what was going, and I'm just sitting there going,
Like, wait,
it's
hold on a
delicious.
second.
Yes.
I think
yes.
she's talking about West Side Story. My bad.
I want it to be like that movie that was made about George Lucas when he went to USC Film School when he was creating Star Wars. What's that movie called? Can we make the Steve? Yeah, no, it's about his life. And I have it on VHS, so I'll take a
can't think
picture
of
of it and I'll post it. But And it's so ridiculous. Somebody gave it to me as a gift, and it's fantastic. But I want Steven Spielberg's to be like that as well. It's not going to.
I'd be down for that.
It's probably, anyway, who knows? I don't know how accurate you could direct a movie about your life. Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I can't think of another filmmaker that's done that.
I can't either.
So
anyway, what would we give as a grade for First Wives Club?
Oh, we're still talking about this movie?
Yeah, that's the episode we're actually on.
I've moved past it.
Excuse me, my allergies.
It's George Lucas in Love.
That's what it is. Yes.
And so it looks like that, and I have it in VHS.
That looks amazing.
It is. It's so amazing. It's not. It's horrible, but it is amazing because it's horrible.
Like, amazingly.
I give it a B. I just give it a B. I think this movie is it's not one you're going to watch all the time, if ever again, but maybe when you're scrolling. But I do like it, and I think that people overlook it, and they think it's one thing, but it's really another. So it's just fun.
I'll go B-, just a slight hair below that. I know I'm not the target audience, and I will fully admit I was not in the correct mood for this movie last night when I watched it, but it was good. It was fun. I don't know that I'd go back and watch it again, but that's where I'd go.
I'll give it a B because I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going into it. So I think for that reason alone, it was funny. It was legitimately funny, and I think the actors in it are very talented. And like, if people don't understand why Goldie Hawn was as big a deal as she was, then you need to watch movies like this to get it.
I want to just hang out with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
I mean, step in line, get in line. Right? We all do.
I think that would be just so much. They just seem like such cool people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, invite them over, and Jack Black and Paul Rudd. I think that's who I'd like to just have over for dinner, just those two, and hang out with them.
What would you make for a dinner with Jack Black, Paul Rudd, Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell? Not Tim. I'm having some issues over here. I think I'm having a seizure.
This is what happens when we get together for the first time.
Yes. So. But us being Jack Black fans, do yourself a favor and look up. He was on the last episode of Conan O'Brien.
Oh yeah.
And is
he the one that smoked pot with him, or did he smoke pot with someone else?
That was somebody else.
Okay.
But I also enjoyed Paul Rudd's last appearance.
I still need to watch that. I saw it, but there wasn't any sound because I was pretending like I was working at work, but really I was watching that. But I need to watch it with sound.
You have to watch that.
It's great. Anyway, so there you go. First Wives Club. Next week we will be back with Red, and then Tracy's
the
pick.
First Red, not
the first Red.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
we're not doing both. We're just doing the one.
No, just the one, the original.
Okay. All right.
Yep, just the original. Cool. And then Tracy, what was your
Manhattan? Muppets.
Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay.
We've done the Muppet movie, but that is a movie about bringing the gang back together.
Literally, I think they sing a song about it in the movie, and then Tracy, I'm sure, will sing it for us.
Oh, you know what's happening.
It'll be perfect. All right, you can find us on social media at all the places, Movies That Make Us, so look us up. Follow us there. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, comment on it, and make sure you subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. And until next time, we won't see you at the movies. There's a song you could sing. Are you going to sing this out on this one?
I don't know of a good song on this one.
Don't tell me what to do.
Oh, Jake's got it this time.
Well done.
And on that note, we won't see you at the movies.
This has been a Stolen Droids Media production.